Good morning, and welcome to Lake Country Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Fran Bills, and my pronouns are she, her. I am your worship leader this week. We welcome you. We know you come here for different reasons: to find community, to seek your spiritual and personal truths, to question, to nurture your heart and soul, to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, to find comfort, and perhaps to find the answers to some of your bigger questions. We welcome you. We know you come from different places, different religions, different beliefs, and different backgrounds. We hope you will find comfort, connection, challenge, and love here. We hope you will find ways to provide outreach to others in our congregation, in our local community, and in our world community.
We gather this morning as one community, a community united by common ideals: love, justice, diversity, freedom, mutual care, equity. Yet look around. Look at the faces of those around you. Each face represents an individual. Every one of us with our own story, needs, strengths, and faults. We light our chalice today honoring our common connection and also the uniqueness that lives within each one of us. Let us be together today. The other day, I ended up in the comments section of a Wall Street Journal article titled, "Artificial Intelligence is Learning to Escape Human Control." The article listed the latest leap that had been made by a machine and imagined the potential calamities that could befall the human race if artificial intelligence was to stop listening to its creators and begin doing its own thing. And I'm sure by some point you've all heard some version of this story. It's a decades-old plot line of science fiction movies, and it's easy to assume that our technological capabilities are rapidly transforming science fiction into science possibility. And this is clearly a topic of great interest to many people because this article generated almost 1,000 comments and replies and responses to replies and responses to the replies to the replies to the replies. There was quite a dialogue going on. The main focus of the majority of the responses went something like this: well, this can never happen because computers can't. Or, the simple solution was already shared by Asimov in iRobot. You simply need to ensure the system has these 3 rules embedded in the coding. First, a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Number 2, a robot must obey the orders given to it by a human being except where such orders would conflict with the first law. And number 3, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. How simple. Hooray. Now, that sounds simple enough to me. But the commenters went on and on at great length about why or why not this would or would not work, and why additional logic just needed to be built into to perfect that rule of 3, all the way to the highly technical solution of, well, if it gets out of hand, just pull the plug. I journeyed down this rabbit hole, I will admit, for a good long time, fascinated by the mental gyrations I was watching by what seemed like very smart people performing to make and then defend their points. After a while, it seemed obvious to me, at least, that all of the commenters were trying really hard to solve for a problem that was the completely wrong problem. I ended up adding my own comment to the mix, which speaks directly to my theology and the foundation of most of my ministry. I wrote, I think everyone here is approaching this as a computer problem. It's not that. It's a human problem. And everyone seems to think human problems are unsolvable. They're not. We used to be apes. We can evolve. I think the race we are running is for our evolutionary adaptations of language and self-awareness and free will to evolve in a more life-sustaining direction before we eliminate ourselves. We should be working to solving for that, not computer code updates. Now, of course, this is the messy realm of liberal arts and humanities, ethics, religion even. The very subjects which are rapidly falling out of favor in our universities and our society in general, in favor of the more profitable, logic-driven areas of computer science and software development. After all, that's where the money is, right? Right? I like to think that if I'm in front of a group of Unitarian Universalists, I'm in company with at least a few folks that see some of the obvious challenges we are facing these days as humans, both individually and collectively, and in some way or another see coming together with like-minded people as a path towards trying to address some of these challenges. And the problem, I think, and I hear this from a lot of folks, is the issues that we can see seem massive and entrenched and completely overwhelming. And on the other hand, we can often feel small and completely ill-prepared to make even the tiniest dent in even the most minuscule of our shared problems. Never mind the global scale problems that make for good headlines in the news periodicals we consume. It is surely enough to make us want to bury our heads under the pillow and stay home from church on a Sunday morning. I get it. I can feel that way sometimes myself. These are true problems. But a minister is tasked, I think, among other things, with helping us to make meaning of what can sometimes seem like out-of-control chaos, and at the same time offer some reason for hope. At the very least, to share some guidance to the theological questions: we're here, how did that happen, why did it happen, and since it did happen, what are we supposed to do about it? For those of you that have been listening to me for the past few years, every once in a while, I try to offer a reminder that the theological framework that best describes my answers to the big questions is somewhere under the umbrella of religious naturalism. Basically, the idea that we are a part of, not separate from, nature. And thus the source of any answers we seek regarding what we should do must align with the ways of nature. The problems we create then come about when the choices we make are misaligned with the natural order of things. Human-created problems, therefore, are an indication that we have forgotten our place, and our intelligence has led us down a path that goes against the natural order of things. In the language of religion, we are trying to play God, and not very well. And eventually, whatever we call God will try to determine that we have pushed things just a little bit too far, and will exert herself to ensure that we are brought back into alignment with the natural systems that she has created. All things must be in balance. There are endless theologians and philosophers from the Enlightenment period forward that have wrestled mightily with the challenges posed by human ego and human frailty, each presenting with very smart ideas regarding what is true about human nature, and thus how we should behave. The truth is, most of this thought, while logically somewhat sound, is often a bit myopic. The truth is, it takes a good deal of wealth and time and comfort to be able to have the time, education, and resources to wax poetic about the ways of the world. And this irony is never lost on me as I stand before you each week. To counter that reality, I do at very least attempt to focus my research efforts towards voices that have historically been at the margins. I figure the marginalized are the ones that have always been on the front lines, attempting to survive the unintended consequences of the world that has been fashioned by the haves. I find great wisdom in the work of Adrienne Marie Brown's Emergent Strategy and the many authors her work has inspired. One author I'm enjoying right now is Alexis Pauline Gumbs and her work, Undrowned, Black Feminist Lessons from Marine Mammals. What an interesting source. One of her chapters begins, What does it mean to function as a group in a changing environment? How can we organize ourselves intentionally to combat the embedded isolation of late-stage capitalism? Gumbs is a poet, a scholar, and a listener. Undrowned is a book-length meditation on the potential lessons we might draw from the wisdom of marine animals. It's not the linear cause and effect writing of science. It's the type of writing that explores different ways our sibling creatures on this planet solve for the problems of cooperation and survival, and it challenges us to rise above the systems we have created that it is clear are no longer serving us. To allow imagining how new ways, more closely aligned with the realities of our nature, might actually look. An example of her writing, in this case imagining the lessons available from the behavior of a specific species of dolphins, goes something like this. What if school, as we used it on a daily basis, signaled not the name of a process or institution through which we could become indoctrinated, not a structure through which social capital was grasped and policed, but something more organic, like a scale of care? What if school was the scale at which we could care for one another and learn how to move together? She goes on to say, legally and narratively, our society encourages small, isolated family units and an antisocial state reluctant to care. So care becomes an unsustainable work, the massive unpaid labor that breaks backs, hearts, and the visionary will of multitudes on the regular basis. Gumbs invites us to look at nature and how natural systems seem aligned and intuitively find the right balance over and over again, while we use our vast intellect to develop more and more complex systems that become more and more out of balance and cause more and more harm each and every day. My computer friends talk about the importance of embedding code into our computers to keep us safe, but never consider the coding we have unconsciously built into our society that are violating the first rule they have correctly determined is of primary importance: do no harm to humans. My focus, my hoped-for contribution with any community I serve as a minister, is to encourage the members of that community to be willing to look at the results each of us is getting from our current ways of being, both individually and collectively, and determine two things. What things are we doing that is serving us? And what things are we doing that are not getting us the results we hope for? And from there, I always hope to offer different possibilities for you to consider, so that you might compare how things are to how they might be, and begin to slowly but consistently try new ideas, discuss new possibilities, and experiment with new ways of being. The thing I love about Unitarian Universalist faith tradition is it's the trust in the power of evolution. We believe that all the answers we need have not yet been found, and it is on us to continually evolve our thinking and our actions in ways that lead to better care for all of us. Just like dolphins seem to naturally find a way to do. Another author that is guiding my thinking these days is Deepa Iyer, an author and community organizer of Indian heritage. Her book, Social Change Now, A Guide for Reflection and Connection, provides a framework for us to consider as we attempt to imagine how we might possibly have any impact on the entrenched problems we can all see so clearly in the world. This work is important for any of us that feel helpless, like we are only a tiny grain of sand in a massive machine, aware of our many limitations, but forgetful of our infinite wisdom, and think, what difference can I, myself, possibly make? Stephen, can you bring up wow, you're right on it. Okay, awesome. Her change model, which I wanted to just give you a picture of so that you had a close readable version, because I know John wants to make sure that we can read the stuff. Did you get a handout, John? Okay, it's in there, so you don't have to read this. I wanted to just give you the model so you could see it, but Leanne printed everything, so you get to read the whole chapter. Her change model, which I shared as a handout, contains 3 components: values, ecosystems, and roles. As Unitarian Universalists, we already generally aligned around a set of shared values. We are already a third of the way towards implementing her change model. This is awesome. The second concept of her model is that change requires and happens within an ecosystem. She says, an ecosystem is a community, a home, or a place and space where we feel a sense of belonging, familiarity, and alignment around our values, goals, and strategies for the future, and where we emphasize the importance of cultivating, nurturing, and sustaining relationships, connections, and solidarity. Doesn't that kind of sound like this church community, right? We're 2/3 of the way there, folks. We are ready to make change in the world. The third part of her model is around the roles each of us might play in social change systems. And this is a place where some of us may have naturally begun to gravitate over time, but I think this is an area of the model where we have the greatest opportunity to continually do a little bit more work to more consciously align our efforts. Some roles in her system require us to develop competencies. For example, storytelling, strengthening our storytelling abilities or our healing abilities. While some others may come naturally to us based on our personalities and our lived experience. The important thing I think many of us need to hear is that we don't have to play all of the roles on the map ourselves. And we shouldn't feel the need to if we are part of an ecosystem. She writes that in many situations, our roles may shift and change, and we will work closely with others to complement and amplify our own contributions. Take a moment to look at those roles around that circle. Without the benefit of a specific definition, where do you think you might naturally align? Are you a disruptor? Constantly making others uncomfortable by challenging the obvious inefficiencies that you see in the status quo? Perhaps you're more of a builder, grateful for the roadmap someone else has created so that you can just get to work bringing that vision to life. Perhaps you're a caregiver, making sure that folks are being fed, either physically or spiritually, as they attend to the hard work that needs to be done, which can be draining over the long haul if not nurtured by someone else. Perhaps you're an experimenter, challenging the organization to challenge its assumptions, take risks, and to try new things. Or perhaps you realize you're more of a healer, smoothing the rifts that inevitably emerge when all these disparate energies attempt to move in the same direction, when everyone has a slightly different idea regarding what that direction should be. It's kind of obvious, right? You probably look at me and you go, oh, I know the roles that Reverend Matt naturally plays, and he really does in some of this, right? What do you see in yourself? If you've been here a long time, which of these roles have you already played in this community? What have you learned about how to play those roles most effectively that you might pass on to those that are just starting out? If you're newer here, what roles do you think you might naturally gravitate towards? If you're in a leadership position, how might this model inform your choices as you work to recruit the folks we have available in our community to move things forward? Are there roles that no one in this current community is suited to fill? And would our community benefit from inviting a few more folks with different skills to join our work? All of this sermon today is just a teaser for the next phase of our work that I hope this community will join me in considering in the coming year. Your board has developed a basic framework for some goals that they're tightening up and will communicate and will help guide our collective efforts, which will be shared as we begin to come back together and imagine our collective work in the next year. And as you begin to imagine the work that is needed to move this community into its next chapter, it will be important to ensure we are each finding ways to contribute to the collective care of our shared community and to each other. These ways of thinking are not new. I think they've just gotten a little lost along the way as our society has rushed headlong towards goals that haven't always been aligned with collective care. If you have been coming to church feeling overwhelmed and helpless in the face of the problems you see in the world, the ideas I've shared here provide just some of the framework we'll be exploring in the coming church year to help us align our collective efforts. Because none of us can survive on our own. We are stronger together, and we need each other to survive. The next year is really going to be about reigniting our collective spirit that got this place to where it is today, and imagining how we will need to adapt to address the needs of tomorrow. And if we can do that together, then maybe, just maybe, we won't feel so hopeless and alone. And maybe, just maybe, we can actually become the change we hope to see in this world. Blessed be, and may it be so. As we part now from one another, let these be our thoughts. If that which is most holy lies within the human person, and if the greatest power in the world shines flickering and uncertain from each individual heart, then it is easy to see the value of human associations dedicated to nurturing that light. The couple, the family, the religious community. For the power of good in any of one of us must at times waver. But when a group together is dedicated to nurturing the power of good, it is rare for the light to grow dim in all individuals in the same moment. So we borrow courage and wisdom from one another to warm us and keep us until we're together again. Amen. I don't know about you, but I look forward to Sunday morning. Like seeing all y'all's faces, I hope you get the same experience too. You just see these people week after week after week, and you just go, I'm not alone. This is awesome. I know summers we spread to the four corners of the state and the world and all that kind of thing. But I'm really glad you're here this morning. I hope you'll join us for coffee and fun times in the social hall. Remember, the next 2 weeks we are on the road. I think next week, Brookfield, yep, in Church West. And then a week after that is United. And the week after that we'll be here. So make sure you go to the right place or go enjoy the sun or whatever you're going to do next week. Just keep doing your best. I love you all. Have a good day.